Good afternoon. My name is Miss Hlongwane. Today we're going to learn about something very interesting. How plants make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define photosynthesis, know the requirements along with the products, also to understand the simple chemical process, and explain why photosynthesis is so important for life. Now let's begin by understanding what photosynthesis actually is. So, photosynthesis is the process whereby plants make their own food. The word photo means light and synthesis means putting things together. So, photosynthesis means putting together with light. But in this case, putting things together with light makes something that all living things need to survive, which is food and oxygen. Now that we know what it is, let's think about why this process is so important for all living things. Photosynthesis is the foundation of life and ecosystems. It is very important because it keeps life going on Earth. It keeps plants alive, the very same plants that provide food to eat and oxygen for us to breathe. What a powerful process it is. But for this amazing process to happen, plants need certain things. Now, let's have a look at the requirements. For photosynthesis to happen, plants need 4 things: sunlight from the sun, water from the roots, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and chlorophyll, which is found in the leaves. Without these 4 requirements, photosynthesis cannot happen, or it would rather be disturbed or limited. Once these plants have these ingredients, they can make something very useful: the products of photosynthesis. Now let's talk about it right now. When photosynthesis happens, plants make 2 products: glucose and oxygen. Now, glucose is the sugar food that plants use for energy and growth to produce the fruits and the vegetables that we eat today. Oxygen is then released into the air, and that's what we need to breathe in to stay alive. And all of these requirements, sunlight is essentially important. So let's pause a little bit and look at the energy source. The sun is the main energy source for photosynthesis, as it provides the light energy that the plants need to make glucose and oxygen. Without sunlight, photosynthesis cannot take place efficiently. But light energy cannot be used directly unless the plant has something very, very special inside the leaves, which is what we call chlorophyll. Now, what is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is the green pigment that makes leaves look green. It is found inside the leaves and it absorbs sunlight energy. This is where the chemical process of photosynthesis takes place. Now that we know the requirements and the products, let's take a look at the chemical process in very simple steps. Here's the process in very simple steps. Plants take something from the atmosphere, which is, it's a gas. Can anyone try? No, it's not oxygen. Anyone else? Yes, it's carbon dioxide. And what is required from the soil or roots? What is needed from the roots? Anyone else? Yes, definitely. It is water. With the presence of sunlight, energy, and chlorophyll. They change this into sugar called, what is the sugar called? Yes, exactly, glucose, which is the food and the energy that the plants need to actually grow and produce fruits and vegetables. Now, what else does it produce? Yes, definitely. It produces oxygen, which goes into the air. Now, we can write it as it is. Carbon dioxide plus water with sunlight and chlorophyll gives glucose and oxygen. Please write it down, please. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Now, to make this clearer, I would like us to please watch a short video about photosynthesis. As you watch, please pay close attention to the requirements, what the plants need, the input, and the products, what the plants make, which is the output. Okay? Thank you very much. Now let's watch the video right now. Okay, thank you very much for paying attention to the video. Now that you've seen it in action, let me ask you, what do you think will happen if photosynthesis did not exist? So I'm going to ask you to please form yourselves into groups of 4 and then take one paper and write down maybe just 4 examples of 4 points of what do you think would happen if photosynthesis does not exist. So I'm just going to give you a hint of what you should think about. You should think about the consequences of what would happen if photosynthesis did not exist. Think about how the plants would react. Think about how animals would act. Think about the people, just the ecosystem as whole. I'm just going to give you 1 minute and then we can discuss it further. Thank you. Okay, now that you have discussed, can we now please share the facts or your answers, please? Does anyone want to try? Group 1? Yes, definitely. What is your answer? Yes, definitely. Plants won't be able to grow. Yes, exactly. Anyone else want to give me a point? Yes, of course. If plants cannot grow, definitely plants will not be able to produce glucose and oxygen, which is what we need to actually survive. Yes, definitely. Anyone else want to try? Yes, definitely. There is a possibility that animals will die and plants will die, even us as well. If we don't have enough oxygen, or if we don't have enough food, we will definitely not be able to survive. Thank you very much for your answers. And I just want to give you a quick quiz just to actually check if you do understand the concept of this topic. Let's have a look. Which one is not a requirement for photosynthesis? A, carbon dioxide. B, water. C, oxygen. D, sunlight. Please just have a piece of paper and write down your answers, please. Okay, now let's have a look. Who can try to answer this one? I'm going to pick anyone here. I'm not going to let you raise up your hands. Okay, now you. Yes, can you try? What is your name? Okay, Angel. Angel, what is the answer here? A, carbon dioxide. Oh no, that is unfortunately not the correct answer. I will tell you why. Now, let me try to ask someone else who can try. Yes? Tabo, right? Yes, oxygen. So oxygen is the correct answer. Okay, Angel, let me quickly explain to you why oxygen is the correct answer. Remember, you need to think about which one is not a requirement for photosynthesis. You need to think about the input that what actually is required in order for photosynthesis to occur. In this case, oxygen is not the input, but in fact, it is an output, which is the product. Do you understand? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now let's wrap up with a short summary of what we have learned. First, photosynthesis is important because it is the foundation of life and ecosystems. Secondly, the requirements are carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and chlorophyll. Thirdly, the products are glucose, which gives plants energy, and oxygen, which we all need to survive. To finish, I'd like to share some teaching principles on how this lesson was designed. This lesson is rooted in the learning theory of constructivism. The idea is that learners do not just receive knowledge, they actively build in connecting new information to what they already know and applying it into meaningful ways. With that in mind, I designed the lesson around these principles to focus on concepts rather than rote memorization, connecting learning to real-life experiences, encouraging active participation through discussions and activities, and using a short video to make sure that they get the opportunity to visualize and easily